Hi everyone, welcome to my first book review ever. A little bit about me, my name is Paloma, I'm 25 years old, and I have loved reading for as long as I can remember. When I was in elementary school, we were always assigned to read a book, so there was always something that I was reading continuously. And one of my favorite things back then was to go to the library and just scope out whatever book I was gonna read next. I could spend hours in there. And we were always quizzed on the books that we read because we actually had to read them. But I used to love taking those quizzes because since I truly enjoyed the books that I read, I would do great at the quizzes that I took, and it just made me want to read more and more. So reading has been a passion of mine since I was little. Although there have been times when I wasn't continuously reading something, maybe like in my teens or in high school, maybe just for lack of time or money to buy new books. And funny enough, last year one of my resolutions was to read 12 books because honestly in 2023 I didn't read much. So I was like, okay, 2024 I'm reading 12 books, at least one per month. I can do that. But then half of the year passed by and I hadn't read a single one. This was because I was in China, I studied there, and I was just getting close to graduating and I didn't have much time. I was a little busy and excuses. So I started reading until late August when I came back to Mexico, and I started by rereading one of my favorite series, which is the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. And then I bought some more new books and reread others that I had. Long story short, I ended up reading 15 books, which I'm super happy about because one, I surpassed my goal of 12 books, even though I started late in the year. And two, it got me into reading again, which I love and I just don't want to stop again. Alright, so now after that brief, long introduction, I decided I wanted to do some book reviews because I want to share my thoughts on the books that I read throughout this year. And I will say, although I am proudly Mexican, I do prefer reading in English just because it's a language that I started reading books in when I was in elementary school. So I just got used to it, and most of the books that I read are in English. Unless the book is originally in Spanish, of course I will read it in Spanish. So that's why I decided to do these reviews in English. But I will be adding Spanish subtitles in case anyone wants them and in case my family is watching. So for the month of January, I read 3 books, which were the trilogy of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I think that this series has become a YA/mystery thriller staple all over social media because I see it all over in book recommendations. So it really piqued my interest, and I bought the whole set back at the end of December, and I started reading it on January 1st. Okay, the first book, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I enjoyed this book through and through. I thought the way the mystery was unfolding and more information about the potential suspects kept coming out was really entertaining. And I also loved seeing Ravi and Pip work together to solve the mystery and how they were supporting each other and helping each other through the obstacles and the hard truths that they were facing along the investigation. At the end, I was left pretty satisfied with the resolve, although there was some information about a lot of people and the potential suspects that kept me thinking like, okay, so then why was this person like that, or why did that person have these secrets? Like, is it gonna come out in the second book? And it left me excited for the second book. I give this book a 4 out of 5 stars, which is pretty good. So let's get into the second book. Now, the second book, Good Girl, Bad Blood, it picks up almost like right after where the first one ends, not immediately, just a few weeks later, I believe. Pip puts together all the information that she recollected and the interviews that she recollected from the investigation, and she turns it into like a kind of a mini podcast series. Like, she releases a season and that's it, and it totally blows up and she gains a lot of following for that. She becomes like kind of famous in her town and a little bit nationwide. But she decides that she doesn't want to do this again. She's not investigating any more cases at all because this last one just left her mentally exhausted, and she feels like she gave too much of herself into it. But this changes when one of her best friend's brother, Connor's brother, Jamie, disappears and Connor asks Pip to help him find him. Pip is very reluctant at first, like she really doesn't want to do it, and she tells him no at first, but she reluctantly agrees because she's Pip, and also because she now has this podcast that has somewhat of a following and people are listening, so they think that maybe that will help them gain traction on the case and potentially find Jamie. So throughout the story, Pip keeps questioning her character and she realizes that she's changed and she's not the same as she was before, or that maybe this has been the real her all along. If I could describe it in one word, it would be thrilling. It was truly a nail biter at times, and the ending, you will not see it coming. That's all I'm gonna say. So I give this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I rated it a little bit higher than the first one. So third and last of the trilogy, As Good as Dead. The last investigation deeply affects Pip in a harsh way, and it was a little bit tough reading how Pip is coping with what happened and how she's dealing with it, just how she's feeling. But I really appreciated the seriousness of it and the reality of it, because things like that do happen to people and it's not just something easy that they can deal with. So setting that aside, I thought that the beginning was kind of a slow burn, but it was very well written and very well plotted. However, when things begin to escalate, I thought it was just a little bit far-fetched and kind of unrealistic in my opinion, which I hate to say because I did not feel like that about the first and second book. But it just feels like a 360-degree turn and Pip is someone else entirely, and it just doesn't fit with the Pip that we get to know in the first and second book. The good thing is that she does get some resolution in the end, but it was just very unsatisfactory to me, and it really pains me to say that because I love the first 2 books. It's still a good read, but it was different than the other 2. That's what I'm gonna say. And sadly, I gave this book a 3 out of 5, which still isn't bad, but it's just not as good as the first 2. So with that said, I thought that there was overall a really good trilogy, and if you're thinking about reading it, I would totally recommend that you do. And if you've already read it, let me know what you think and what other books you recommend that I read. I've already started reading a new book that I'll be reviewing next month, so watch out for that. And thank you so much for watching. My name is Paloma, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.